Hey there YouTube, Travis here. Thought I'd do a bike update. Pretty much finished up everything I want to do with the 1980 Vespa. So like I said, I've got this to the point where I want it to be a nice, reliable stalker. And I'll explain why here in a minute. That's as far as I'm going to go with it, but got it running well, and I definitely learned a few things on the way. First is that I really appreciate variators now. Just last week I was out on a long ride with a friend who was on a stock Sax moped, and we started going up this big hill, and he was pedaling his brains out, bogging out down at the bottom, and this thing just pulled right up the hill. Granted, it's a pretty steep hill. It slowed me down to about 10 or 15, but it did not stop. That was really something to marvel. I think some updates since I made this video last is I actually got side covers for it, which is kind of nice. These are a little hard to find. I was pretty lucky to be able to grab them. Things still missing. There's floorboards there, and one other thing I'll explain here in a minute. So one thing I discovered, and ignore the decomp cable hanging right there, I've been missing, there's like a spring and something else that goes on the front, and I've never had those parts, so I'll be deleting that cable pretty soon. But anyway, something that was pretty interesting was that there was an air leak between the head and the cylinder when I bought this bike. First off, unlike most mopeds I worked on, there's only 3 head nuts right there. It's like kind of like a triangle formation. Third one's down there if you can see it. So that's kind of unusual. But that wasn't really the problem so much as that this came from the factory without a head gasket. And luckily, I was able to buy one online. I guess some mopeds did come with one and some did not. And putting a head gasket on there and torquing everything down nice fixed that air leak. The other big air leak this one had was at the exhaust. And I'm not the biggest fan of the way this mounts. Let me see if I can get that on there. There's a little clamp right there. Now, I've seen pictures online, people buy better clamps to put on there, but the clamp was doing its job, it just wasn't sealing very well, so I ended up getting some Permatex copper stuff in a squeeze tube, and I put that all around there and then put the clamp on it, and that actually fixed up that exhaust leak really nicely. When you put your hand underneath there, you can still feel air, but that's because there's a fan on the other side. Now, when I made this video originally, I said the seat was falling off. Well, that's not totally true. The upholstery is just kind of separated from the actual seat, so the previous owner duct taped it. But anyway, I found something kind of curious out here. There's actually a compartment underneath here. Let me show you what I found inside. Got this lever right here. So this is kind of cool. Someone left a hose clamp in there, and then a little oil mixing cup right here. But this is the real treat. It's really finagled in there. Hang on. Watch me break it. Alright. This, getting the light here, looks like an original tube of Vespa mix, where you just fill the tank and then dump in this whole thing, and that's 50-to-1, which would make sense because 2.6 ounces is 1 gallon. That tank is less than 1 gallon. This tube is 1.9 ounces, but wow. Look at that thing, that's cool. So, I'm going to be hanging on to this. This is a little treat, but I wonder if I have the courage to put this in any of my bikes. Probably not. Well, cool. So, it is a beautiful day out, so let's go ahead and take this thing for a ride. One final comment that I'll make is that this thing has really, really nice ride. There's oil in the front forks, so those are really, really making for an easy ride as well. It brags on the side of here about cantilever suspension, so there's one suspension piece right there, and that I feel helps a lot. I feel like it also lets the engine move ever so slightly instead of being rigid when it hits those bumps. But yeah, all in all, I like this thing, so we'll see where it goes. Alright YouTube, let's get out there.